Good morning. I'm here to make a follow-up video to my video about my Cuban DNA results. I made that video in the fall of 2016. It was so long ago that Obama was still president, and since then it's been updated to, I guess, reflect more accurate results. It was actually updated, I think, the first time in 2018 and then again in 2020. So this is the updated results. It kind of makes sense, but there are things that made me kind of scratch my head from what I've been told, and some things of the first results actually made more sense, but it is what it is. I'm gonna update y'all on what my results are, and I even made some Cuban coffee for the occasion. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I can't sleep, so I might as well make a YouTube video. So, to brief anybody who has not seen the original video, my results that I got in 2016 were, and I kind of wrote them down, but 37% Iberian, 23% Western Europe, 22% Italy, Greece, 6% North Africa, 3% Senegal, 1% Southeast Bantu, 1% Cameroon Congo, 1% Native American, 1% Finland, 1% Middle East, and then less than 1% I had Nigeria, Ireland, Jewish, Ashkenazi, I'm assuming, Scandinavia, and Eastern Europe. So, these results, when I first got these original results in 2016, were pretty shocking. I didn't expect to see 23% Western Europe, which was highlighted primarily between like France and Germany, because as far as I knew at the time, I didn't have any ancestors from there. So I actually spoke, and I mentioned this in the last video, I spoke with my grandma like the next day, and she brought up that we have allegedly some Dutch, and there's even a Dutch surname in our family heritage, which I was always curious about that last name, so it makes sense. But 23% Western Europe, that was really high for allegedly just coming from my mom's side. Then I spoke with my mom's dad, my grandpa, and he said that his side of the family also has Dutch. So I figured, that's pretty interesting. I guess that would explain Western Europe being so high. Italy, Greece was a puzzle, because kind of. I mean, I figured that Cuba probably got a lot of Italians. I do think they got a good amount of Sicilians, and Italian last names sometimes blend in with Spanish last names, so it's hard to tell. North Africa, that makes sense. From different accounts, there is the fact that the Moors invaded Spain, there's the Guanches from the Canary Islands, there's a lot of possibilities for that. Senegal, Southeast Bantu, although Sub-Saharan African, of course, makes sense. Cuba had slavery, and even though I'm very white, a lot of people have a little bit of black in them. That's how DNA works. Cuba had slavery, and I do know that for sure my great-grandma from my mom's side had some African heritage, and my dad's, one of his great-grandparents also had African heritage, so I know it comes from both my parents. Native American 1%. I mentioned that my grandma always said that her side is the same one with the Dutch, has Native American, and in my grandma it shows. Like, she's very dark-skinned. She's got green eyes, but she's otherwise got very dark skin and native features. She definitely looks more indigenous than most Cubans, which is a surprise that I look the way I look, but I only registered 1%, so I must have not inherited a lot of that native DNA from her. Finland, that's an oddball, I don't know where that would be from. Middle Eastern, that could tie in with North Africa somewhere, and it's only 1%. Then less than 1% I got Nigeria, Ireland, that could be anything. I mean, Europe is every continent in the world is full of, all kinds of mixes. But that was 2016. Then, 2018, they updated my results. Actually, sorry, this was 2019. So this one was a little less all over the map, which is, I think what they mean is like they narrow it down, anything that was really low, they figure that's probably just margin of error, which would make sense. But my 2019 update gave me 50% Portugal. Now this time they actually split the Iberian Peninsula. But what's shocking is, I got 50% Portugal. I didn't even get 50% Iberian with my first results. So now they're saying I'm half Portuguese. That's I know I do have last names that are Portuguese, but I know that a lot of our family did come from Galicia, which they share a lot of similar culture. They share a border, so that could actually be partly Galician, partly Portuguese. It's hard to tell. It's kind of like Irish and Scottish. Like they're very blended culturally. 29% Spain. That was, like I said, I was surprised that I got less Spain than Portuguese, because my last name is Spanish. France, 5%. This is interesting because Europe West didn't specify, but my grandparents did say Dutch. But France, that could be, I mean, they border each other, so that could still be technically Dutch, but I don't know. But then England, Wales, and Northwestern Europe, again, that could lean to Dutch. England would be kind of an oddball because I didn't get it the first time, and I don't know anyone in my family with English ancestry that I'm directly descended from. Northern Africa, 4%, a little less than last time, but about the same. General, 4 to 6, you know. Nigeria, 2%, they gave me a little bit more Nigeria, that was less than 1%, which is interesting. Ireland, Scotland, 2%. This is also interesting because Galicia is culturally linked to, you know, the Celtic Gaelic culture, so, sorry, I wonder if there's a link there. Senegal, it was 3% down to 1%, so that's probably still pretty accurate. Indigenous Americas, Mexico. I'll get to that one later, but that's 1%. And then Benin and Togo at 1%. Anyway, so that was 2019. Let's see what they said for 2020. And one thing they say is that your DNA doesn't change, but our science does. Which, I mean, yeah, it's like anything. Science progresses. We discover new things. We correct errors. It's not a conspiracy. But let's see what they say for it. Trying to see. Okay, so 2020s. It's January 2021, by the way, if you don't know what the date is. Spain at 42%. This one makes kind of more sense because Portugal is just about the same at 40%, but this would make me over 80% Spanish. I mean, Iberian in general, which is pretty high. We went from 37% in 2016 to 42 to 82% for the entire peninsula in 2020. Again, my DNA didn't change, just the way that they calculate the results has changed. France at 8%, and again, Dutch, French, they could be very closely corrected. After all, you could still be from the Netherlands and have French ancestry. I mean, and there's probably not that much of a degree of separation. But interesting that Western Europe still shows up a lot reduced. I mean, it was 23%, that's a quarter. That was really high. But 8% is a big reduction, but it's still there. Then we got 7% Northern Africa, so just 1% higher than it was in 2016. So that's definitely 1% Nigeria, pretty confident, that's pretty consistent. 1% Senegal, so a little less than they said last time, but it's still there. Ivory Coast and Ghana, I don't think they said that the first time. I don't remember they said that the 2019 either, so that's a new one. But it's only 1%. And I think that's it. So, they've actually taken away... They still left the North African. They've taken away the Middle Eastern since the first time. But they've also taken away the Native American. And the other time it said Mexico Native American. So not even Cuba Native American, but Mexico. So that's really interesting. And then it says additional communities: Cuba, Canary Islands, and Uruguay, and West Central Cuba. This is the map that I got. So this is the general map that I got. So it's highlighted primarily over Europe and Africa, and then the little communities. And interesting, there's a community in southern Louisiana. I know that a lot of Canary Islanders also settled in southern Louisiana, as well as Cuba. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's fairly consistent, but with some really surprising turns. Like the Iberian just kept going up and up. The African pretty much stayed around the same general area, a lot of the same ethnicities. Like North Africa was always the highest, but then like Senegal was pretty consistent, and Nigeria. Actually, Nigeria started off at less than 1% and got higher, so that's pretty cool. It is interesting they took away the Native American because like I said, my grandma has those features. Like, she looks very native, and I know I don't, but I would at least expect more, at least 1%. But it's fairly interesting then. And again, who knows? They might not do another update in the future, but it's just Yeah, it's interesting the way they update it. Also, the biggest thing, and it wasn't just me, I had another Cuban friend who did this test. She got, I think her highest single ethnicity was Italian at like 30 something percent, something like that. And my Italy Greece was at 22%. They took away both our Italians when they did the updates. Which a lot of people said that, which is really interesting. I mean, because it's not surprising for a Cuban to have Italian. I mean, Italians went everywhere. Pardon my really bad Brooklyn Italian accent. But Italians did, you know, Italians in Cuba wouldn't be surprising. So it's not surprising to have it be 20+%. But then to take it away completely, that's a shocker. But I mean, it is what it is. If I don't have Italian, I don't have Italian. I'd still love Italian food. I used to work at Mancini's in St. Paul. Italian or not, doesn't matter. But a couple interesting takeaways. So I mentioned in the first video that we were pretty certain that my great-great-grandfather was born in Spain in the Canary Islands in the 1860s, 1870s time frame. And my grandpa, who's living in Cuba, he's actually in the U.S. now, ever since. But he was really trying to find his great-grandpa's birth certificate to prove that he was born in Spain so he could qualify for Spanish citizenship and leave Cuba. Evidently, he did find his birth certificate, but my great-grandpa wasn't born in Spain. He was born in Mexico. And they did mention that we've heard that he lived in Mexico, but there was the assumption that he immigrated to Mexico from Spain, that he wasn't born in Mexico. But he was actually born in Mexico, and I believe one of his parents or both his parents were born in Spain. So that's where it's his. My great-great-great-grandparent or grandparents were born in Spain. But my great-great-grandpa was born in Mexico, and that's really interesting that 1% of native Mexicans showed up for the 2019 update. And then they took it away, so it's possibly still there. It's possible that one of his parents was Spaniard and the other one was, maybe had a little bit of Mexican indigenous heritage, but obviously not enough that it didn't even register in the last update. But it does kind of point, I feel like these updates, they take away some and they add some. I'm pretty sure my grandma wasn't lying to me when she said that we have Dutch heritage down the line. Why? I mean, that's a really random ethnicity to lie about. Why would you lie about that? And and then this ties in with what I've been told about my great-great-grandpa and his connection to Mexico, whether he was born there or lives there. Now we find out he was born there. And the fact that native Mexico did show up, which is funny because my husband grew up, born and raised in Texas, but of Mexican descent, and he's got 50% native, indigenous, Mexican, Texan heritage, so even I seem to have a little bit of that. But I don't know, it's really interesting. Looks at the updates, they don't certify anything as being 100%. It's not exact science. They are called estimates for a reason. They are literally just estimates. There's no way to know for sure how much of your DNA is from somewhere. I mean, there probably is a way, but we just haven't gotten there scientifically. But it is interesting. Yeah, that's my update. Hopefully I get less comments about looking like Justin Bieber. I got that on the last video so much, and some people did respond saying, "Oh, I hope I didn't offend you," when I said, "No, I don't look like him," but it might have been that I do find it funny. It does get annoying. Funny enough, I used to work at a Denny's, and I had a Cuban-American woman from Miami who worked with me. And this was in Bloomington, Minnesota, far, far away from Miami. But we got two Cubans working in this restaurant. She didn't know I was Cuban at first, but her nickname for me was Justin Bieber, which I found really annoying. It was cute for the first 2 times. After 90th time, it got old. But once she found out that I was Cuban, we kind of bonded on that. But yeah, I don't look like Justin Bieber, so we can cut out those comments. Evidently, I'm not related to him, since Canadian didn't show up. Alright, well, I'm going to end this video now, so see you all later.